Welcome to Trekking It, everybody. Today we're going to be boiling maple sap down into syrup, and stick around and check it out, see how we do it. So I don't have a lot of the cool equipment like the evaporators that a lot of the guys doing maple syrup for a hobby do have. I just have normal homeowner stuff, and that's the purpose of this video, is to show you that anybody with just regular pots and pans or roasters, whatever they have in their house, they can make quality maple syrup too. You don't have to have a big outfit and, you know, produce it and sell it and things like that. You can do it with what you got at your house. So check out how I do it. You'll see how easy it is. Anybody can do it. So check it out. Let's get at it. So I got this set up in my garage right now. What I do, I go out to the property and I collect the sap. I just pour it into 5-gallon buckets. As you can see, the two of them sitting there. And then I bring them in, and I actually have a roaster set up. And this is where I would preheat or warm the sap up before I go to boil it. So I use a screen, and I screen out any of the debris, bugs, leaves, sticks, whatever might be in there. And I put it into the roaster there, and I preheat it. And then after it's in the preheater, I'll use that little measuring cup there, and I'll ladle it out. And I just bring it over to this. It's an old one. It's just a turkey fryer, I guess. And that's a roaster pan that I use just because it has more surface area. You want a pan with a lot of surface area. The bigger the surface area, the better it's going to evaporate. But I take it out of that warmer, which is my roaster, and I ladle it into here. And then I just boil it literally like you see there. And as it boils down, I just add more out of the roaster. And then obviously when the roaster gets low, I just add more sap into that roaster out of the buckets. So it's just a never-ending cycle until we use all of it. And then from there, I'll take it inside eventually and finish it on my stovetop, because I don't end up with a huge amount. But we'll get to that here in a little bit, so stay tuned. So I want to add a little bit of sap to my evaporator that I got here. So I'm going to go over and grab some sap out of the warmer and get it brought over. I'll show you how I do it. Again, this is just super homeowner-ish stuff, nothing serious. This is just what I do for a hobby. I enjoy it, and it turns out really good. So no complaints from me. Literally ladle it out of the warmer with my measuring cup here and pour it on in. It doesn't get any easier than that. I'll grab a couple more. I try not to drip. Bring it on over. I'll do one more. Looks like it'll hold one more. There we go. I'm happy with that. And this is a little bit low now, so I'm gonna go grab some sap to add to the warmer. So I kind of want to show you what I do when I screen it. So when I take it out of my 5-gallon buckets, I just have a couple other containers that I pour it into, and I use a screen. So as I pour it into a container, I just run it through that screen, and I'll pour it back into another container and rescreen it. You can see a little bit down in the bottom of that. I didn't screen that yet. So I screen it before I put it into my warmer. I don't want anything in there. So that's how I screen it. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish screening it and get it clean, and then add a little bit to my warmer here. So I did want to point something out. You can see the ice in my buckets there of sap. Water freezes before sap freezes. So theoretically, that thin layer of ice that you see on the top is all water. I usually go ahead and just grab that ice and throw it out, get rid of it. It removes a little bit of your evaporation time. Otherwise, you're just evaporating water anyways. Why do that? And toss it out, and now you have less water content. So sap does freeze, but it freezes at a much lower temperature. So as long as you can just get like a thin layer off from it, then you're pretty safe that it's probably just water that froze and no sap. So I usually go ahead and toss that out. Everything's looking good. Smells great in here. I just wanted to show you that I did ladle some of that ice out of there. And I stuck it into this bucket right here. Let me grab a piece. So that's about how thick it is. It's a pretty thin piece of ice, but that's pretty much just all water in the sap. So I like to ladle out and get it out of there. That other stuff that you see in there is foam, and I'll show you. Whew, that's hot. I like to ladle that foam out of there. Sometimes there's little impurities in there, and I like to ladle it out, get it out of there, and it helps keep a better boil anyways. So I just use my little ladle right here. I'll ladle it on out of there. Just like that, and I toss it in there. And that's all that I do. I try and keep the evaporator area clean, that's all. So I just wanted to show you how it's going. We've been boiling sap for about 16 hours now. And you might be able to tell it's a little bit darker than last time you might have seen. So it's a little bit more of that brown maple syrup color to it now. But let's see what we got left. Not a ton. That pot there on the left, we have a little bit left in there. And that's got to go in the warming tray once the warming tray gets lower down. So that's everything we have left. Once that all ends up down into this evaporator here, I'll boil it down to a point where I feel comfortable taking it inside, and I'll finish it up on the stovetop inside. So that's what we got left. I'm getting excited. We're getting down to it now. So stick with me here. We'll see how it finishes out. So I just wanted to show you guys a setup that we're going to have in the kitchen before we bring our stuff inside and get started. But I'll be putting the syrup into this pan here, and I'll be using that thermometer that you see there to constantly measure the temperature of the sap as we're boiling it. And when it gets to 219 degrees, that's when your syrup is done. You want to immediately shut the heat off. It's a finished product and you're good to go. You also use this cylindrical test tube here. As you're boiling, you'll fill that test tube with syrup, and you use this hydrometer, and you gently lower that hydrometer down in there, and you want it to be as close to 211 degrees as possible when you put it in there. And that is a unit of measurement called Brix, and you want to have that as close to that red line at 59 Brix as possible when you drop it into that test tube. So that hydrometer will just kind of float in there, and when you find confluence between the hydrometer at 59 Brix as well as your thermometer at 219 degrees, that's when you know that you have a good quality finished product and you're good to go. You can bottle it up and use it. So that's what we're going to be utilizing when we bring it into the kitchen here and finish our product. So stay tuned. So we're on to about hour 20 of boiling sap down into syrup now, and this is what we're left with. And I believe this is probably a 22 quart roasting pan if I'm not mistaken. So I'm gonna boil this down a little bit more, and then I'm gonna transfer it into another pan and take it inside the house and finish it in the kitchen. So stay tuned. So I just brought everything inside so I can finish boiling down in the house now. And I still have some in my roaster pan that I was using as an evaporator. So there's that still going in there. And then I poured some into this cast iron pot that I'm using as a finishing pot. And I got my thermometer in there, and it looks like, what are we at? Looks like we're just shy of 210, maybe 209. So as that evaporates and gets lower, we'll just take it out of the roaster, which was my evaporator, and pour it into here. Now, I'm not sure how much I started with originally. I think somewhere between 22 and, I don't know, 35 gallons maybe. I don't think I got 40 gallons that I started with, but it's generally a 40-to-1 ratio. So I should be able to fit all of my sap into that pot right there and finish it in that pot is what I'm hoping. And then once we get closer to that 219 degrees, I'm going to go ahead and fill my test tube right there and drop that hydrometer down in there gently and take a measurement using the Brix scale, which is basically the sugar content level. So we'll keep evaporating and boiling down here, and we'll get her finished up. One thing I do want to emphasize is that when you get towards the end there, you're going to want to stir it. You don't want it to scald. You'll be so sad if any of your sap scalds and your syrup turns out crummy. You'll be so sad. So as you reach your 219 degrees and you're sitting here babysitting it and watching it and watching it and watching it, I totally recommend stirring it constantly. Don't let it sit still and scald. So you'll be super sad if that happens. You'll have wasted all of your progress that you made. So stir, 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 and stir some more. And if you're not sure if you stirred it enough, stir it some more. So I was able to condense some and size down a little bit with my pan. I took it out of the roaster pan that I was using as an evaporator, and I poured the rest of it into this other cast iron pot that you see there. As this evaporates down in this pot, I would expect to be able to pour the other one into it and finish everything in one pot. So what do we got for temp here? Looks like we're right around 210, maybe 211. So I just got to keep an eye on that, keep stirring it, make sure nothing scalds. You don't want that to happen. It'll turn out crummy and you'll be super sad. So once it hits 219 degrees, I'm going to take a sample, pour it into that test tube, and drop the hydrometer in there and check it out, see what our Brix has to say. So getting close, pretty excited. I was finally able to condense down from the two pots that I had going down into one pot. So that's cool. We'll take a little temperature reading here. And it looks like we're between 210 and 212. So we still got a little bit to go. And then, like I said before, when this hits 219 degrees, we're going to shut the heat off to it. And I'll immediately use this measuring cup right here, ladle it out of that pot, and pour it into this test tube. And we'll gently lower that hydrometer down into there and get a good Brix reading on it. And by the time you ladle it out and put it in your test tube, it should be right around 211 degrees, and you want that Brix reading at about 59 is what you're looking for. So we're coming down to the finishing product here. I'm pretty excited for it. And at this point, my entire house smells so good, it's amazing. Looking forward to this. Getting pretty close. Looks like, what are we at? 217, maybe 218. Probably 217. We're getting close, not too much longer. We are getting really close. That's got to be 218. It's hovering 219. It's really close. I'm just going to give it just a little bit longer and then shut it off and pour it into that test tube and measure it with the hydrometer there and see what my bricks reading comes out. It looks like I'm so close. Not too much longer. It looks like we're at 219. I'm gonna shut it off and go ahead and test this out, see what we measure at on the bricks. All right, time to fill the test tube and then grab that hydrometer and measure the bricks reading. Gently lower this down into there, nice and gently. So that is right exactly where they want that bricks reading to be. I believe that's 59 on the bricks. Yeah, that's 59. Let go of it again. Absolutely perfect. So that's finished product. I'm gonna go ahead and bottle this up, and that's finished. Pretty happy about this. Let's bottle it. I like to use mason jars. We do a lot of canning and things like that, so I just have an abundance of mason jars. So that's what I bottle it with. First one straight out of the test tube and right into the jar. Yeah, I'm messy, I know. Not too shabby. I'll keep filling. 2 down, more to go. This part gets a little bit messy. I just ladle it on out of there with that measuring cup. Try not to drip, but I'm going to. And you fill your jar. It's as simple as that. Anybody can do it. One more. And the lid. And the ring. Still really hot. 3 down. I'm gonna keep filling. So you can see my mess that I got. I did end up spilling a little bit. I got carried away and excited there towards the end and spilled some. Spilled a little bit right there. That's to be expected. My hydrometer's over here. I washed it right away. But what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarts. 5 quarts. That's honestly about what I expected to get out of it. So it's still really hot. Those jars are almost, yeah, it's kind of too hot to touch. So, but I don't know how many gallons that I started with. Somewhere between 20 and 30, I think. And it's usually about a 40-to-1 ratio. So, not too shabby. Those will cool down. Let's see what they look like. It looks a little bit dark, but I did do them in a cast iron pan that I traditionally use, and they get oiled all the time. So, usually my stuff's not quite that dark. It's usually a little bit lighter, but I believe it's because I used a cast iron pan this time. So that's the finished product. I'm a happy camper. It's that easy. I think anybody can do it. It just takes a little bit of patience. I wanted to show you a color comparison from last year. So that small jar up front here, that's from last year. You can see the date, 3/25/23. You can see it's a little bit lighter in color compared to one of these ones. So I think that's just the difference. The only thing different that I did was I used, there we go. The only thing different that I did was that I used a cast iron pan this year. Last year I did not use the cast iron pan. So, but that's still pretty light for last year. It's a little bit darker, but it is still really, it's still really warm too. It's hot. So once it cools off, it might change color just a little bit. Not a ton, just a little. But that's it. Final product. I just wanted to show you that. Like I said before, it's so easy. I think anybody can do it. Just takes a little bit of time and some patience. So I wanted to give you a little bit better color comparison. So I let the jar cool down a little bit, and you can see it's almost identical to the one that we had done last year. So everything turned out really good. I'm super happy with it. So if you like watching the video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and you can see more like this in the future. But thanks for watching, everybody. That's it for now.